Welcome, traveler. It's good to have you back. If this is your first time here, this little corner of quiet and curiosity, you're in for something gentle. Tonight, we're going to drift together through some of the loneliest places and things in the universe. Not loneliness as sadness, but as stillness, as distance, as the pure quiet of being far, far away. So take a moment to settle in. Let your body sink into the bed, or your chair, or the floor. And when you're ready, let's drift. If you'd like, tell me in the comments where you're listening from tonight. I always love seeing that constellation of cities and towns appear beneath the video, like our own tiny galaxy of night listeners. Now, let's begin. The universe itself. When you step back far enough, even the universe can feel lonely. It's mostly empty, after all. A vast, echoing, empty space that stretches not just in front of you, but behind, above, below, and within every single moment of time. The ultimate container is nothingness. Vast oceans of nothingness stretch between stars and galaxies. So much nothing that if you could hold all the matter in existence in your hands, it would fit into less than a grain of sand compared to the infinite beach of emptiness surrounding it. The true structure of the universe is the vacuum. The matter is merely the punctuation. The silence is the text. Most of space is not stars or planets or light. It's the absence of them. The great illusion of the night sky is its apparent density. It hides the reality of the immense cold distance, a near-perfect vacuum, a space where the average temperature hovers just a few degrees above absolute zero, where no sound can be heard, and where the light of a star must travel unimpeded for millions of years to reach another. It is the ultimate expression of solitude, so pure that it has almost no mass, a silence so deep that time itself feels slower there, stretching moments into eons, making a single second feel like eternity. The physics of the void dictates patience, a stillness that we, on our noisy, fast-moving planet, can barely comprehend. The void waits, and yet, within that emptiness, a few small sparks endure, stars, worlds, fragments of heat and memory floating through the dark. These tiny islands of energy are what make loneliness profound, for they define the separation. They are the exception that proves the rule of silence. Loneliness in the universe isn't failure. It's the condition of existence. It is the silent neutral ground upon which all connection must be forged, the natural state to which everything must eventually return. It's the quiet between heartbeats, the pause that allows everything else to be heard. It is the canvas that makes the bright colors of life and light visible. Without the deep loneliness of the void, the universe would be one undifferentiated, chaotic mess of light. Solitude is what gives everything its definition. 2. B is to be separate. The rogue planets. Let's start with one of the loneliest travelers of all, rogue planets. These are worlds without a sun. They have no anchor, no central source of light or gravity to define their journey. They are forever free and forever lost. They wander freely through the galaxy, untethered to any orbit. They are gravitational exiles, forever lost to the system that created them, sentenced to a path of endless drift. Some were born like this, condensed from gas clouds, far from any star's ignition, never knowing the warmth of a stellar neighborhood. Others were thrown out of their home systems long ago, flung into the dark by gravitational chaos, perhaps by a close encounter with a massive, brutal Jupiter-like giant, or an ancient violent stellar collision. They are the victims of cosmic chance. Imagine a planet drifting alone in the cold, without sunrise or sunset, without seasons, without the warmth of a nearby star. The surface temperature sinks to near absolute zero, and any water on the surface freezes into rock-hard ice. It is a world of silent, unmoving crystal. Only the faint, scattered glow of distant constellations touches its frozen surface. A rogue planet's sky is a spectacle of motionless distant stars, never changing in brightness or position, since the planet is not orbiting anything to provide a parallax shift. It is a night sky of permanent, quiet constancy, a reminder of the unchanging nature of its isolation. And yet, scientists think some rogue planets might still be alive inside, with molten radioactive cores, or hidden oceans sealed beneath thick ice, heated by internal geological forces. These hidden oceans, insulated by kilometers of ice, could potentially harbor life. They could carry warmth that never sees light. They are worlds of internal persistence, where life, if it exists, is a secret known only to the planet itself. The heat of their core is the only company they will ever need. A world that keeps itself alive in absolute darkness. It carries its own heat, its own light, its own reason for being. It is an act of ultimate self-reliance, a statement that existence does not require an external witness. If that's not a kind of courage, what is? It is the courage to endure, not because you have a guide, but because you possess the inherent will to continue, regardless of the darkness. The rogue planet is the symbol of unguided survival, the last light of a dying star. Every star, no matter how brilliant, eventually fades. The loneliness of a star is the loneliness of all things that burn. They spend their entire existence using up the very essence that defines them, knowing the end is inevitable. Some end in spectacular supernovas, explosions bright enough to outshine entire galaxies for a brief moment. These are noisy, violent deaths, but even that spectacular light is brief, followed by an immediate return to the cold, quiet remains. The noise is just the final, desperate cry before the silence returns. But others die quietly, like our own sun eventually will, shrinking down into white dwarfs, small, dense remnants of what once were suns. The white dwarf is the cosmic memory of a star, the tiny, heavy book of its entire life. It is a core the size of Earth, yet weighing as much as the sun, glowing faintly for billions of years from residual heat, slowly cooling until they become what physicists call black dwarfs. Stars so old and cold that they emit no light at all. They are the ultimate cosmic memory, vast, heavy piece of forgotten history, forever dark, but eternally present. We've never seen one. The universe isn't old enough yet for any to exist. But we can calculate their existence with mathematical certainty. They are the future loneliness, the inevitable punctuation mark at the end of every bright sentence. But someday, trillions of years from now, every star we see will fade into darkness. This is the ultimate destiny of all light. A cosmos of silent, invisible orbs, each one the grave of what was once light. They will be massive, frozen monuments drifting in the dark, the very last vestige of the energy that once illuminated the universe. Their silence is the quiet of absolute equilibrium, the ultimate loneliness, a sky where nothing shines, defined entirely by gravity and silent, cold mass. The feeling of separation would be complete because even the light that connects us will have failed. The ghost galaxies. Even galaxies can be lonely. Some drift at the edges of the cosmic web, far from the bright clusters where thousands of galaxies gather. They avoided the great galactic highway, choosing instead the quiet backcountry roads of space-time, preferring the long, slow, solitary journey. We call them field galaxies, quiet, isolated islands of stars. They have never known a companion, never suffered a collision, never merged with a neighbor. Their history is one of tranquil, solitary rotation, an unbroken record of separation. Others are stranger still, ultra-diffuse galaxies, so faint that their stars are scattered like a whisper across hundreds of thousands of light years. They are gigantic, yet almost transparent, composed mostly of dark matter, with the light-emitting gas stretched thin. They are vast envelopes of silence. You could fly through one and never know it. Stars so far apart that no two suns would ever see each other's light. A vast shell of dark matter containing a tiny scattered handful of lights. The distance between systems is so great that the inhabitants of one star system would never be able to confirm the existence of another, even within their own galaxy. Imagine living in a galaxy like that. The gravitational forces holding your system together are almost invisible. Your home is held by a silent, unseen embrace of dark matter. The night sky would be almost empty. No Milky Way, no neighboring glows, just silence, blackness, and your own faint star burning alone in the void. You would live in a world where the vastness of the universe is immediately apparent every time you look up. The separation is total, yet held together by the quiet, mysterious embrace of dark matter. The intergalactic wanderers. Between galaxies lies a realm few ever imagine, the intergalactic medium. It's the space between everything, so empty that a single hydrogen atom drifts for kilometers before finding another. It is the definition of true, unadulterated vacuum, the purest expression of dilution. And yet, even there, lonely travelers move, lost stars, orphaned gas clouds, fragments of galaxies torn apart by collisions eons ago. These are the celestial refugees, stars ejected at high speeds during the violence of galactic mergers. Somewhere out there, single stars drift endlessly, light years from the nearest companion. They are traveling at hundreds of kilometers per second, moving so fast they will never be recaptured by the gravity of any single galaxy. Their path is a straight line through eternal darkness. They are eternal wanderers, forgotten, but still burning. They carry the history of their violent birth and their home galaxy, now tiny and distant. Their light is a memorial to a past they can never return to. Each one a flicker of defiance in an ocean of silence. Their light is their only voice, and it screams through the void, reaching no one in particular, simply marking its own existence. If you could stand beside one, impossible as that may be, you'd see nothing in any direction. Just black, endless black, and one small star whispering to itself, I am still here. The loneliness of the intergalactic star is the ultimate endurance test, a commitment to burning until the very last molecule of fuel is consumed, long after hope of reunion is gone. The star is its own destiny. The neutron stars and pulsars. When massive stars die, they collapse into neutron stars, tiny, ultra-dense remnants only a few kilometers wide, yet heavier than the sun. They are the perfect tiny solitary diamonds of cosmic physics, holding all the mass of a sun in a space smaller than a single city. Most spin rapidly, sending beams of radiation into the cosmos. Pulsars, blinking in perfect rhythm. They are the most isolated islands of matter possible, compressed and detached from the normal rules of atomic existence. Their rotation is the perfect, cold repetition of a mechanical heartbeat. They are lighthouses in the dark, spinning endlessly, pulsing into nothing. Their loneliness is born of extreme density. They are so heavy that nothing can approach them without being crushed, making them forever inaccessible, even to the light they emit. Each one alone, in an orbit of silence, repeating its heartbeat for millions of years. This rhythmic pulsing is the only sign that they exist. A mechanical, cold cry of existence, a time signal sent to a universe that doesn't care to synchronize. No one will ever answer. No one will ever pulse back. The silence is a confirmation that their rhythm is unique and eternally unanswered. The pulsar knows the answer is silence and pulses anyway. And still, they keep shining, because that's what they were born to do. They are the universe's metronomes, marking time in the darkness long after everything else has gone quiet. Their loneliness is the persistence of pure mechanism in the face of universal silence, an endless ticking in the void, the cosmic void. Now imagine a place called the Buddhist void, a real structure in the universe. It is a terrifying realization of the universe's capacity for emptiness. It's enormous, nearly 330 million light-years across. Its sheer size challenges our comprehension of the structure of the cosmos. It is a monumental gap in the fabric of existence. And inside it, there's almost nothing. It is a region statistically depleted of galaxies, far beyond what is normally expected. A silent, forgotten district of the universe. Just a handful of galaxies, scattered like dust motes in a cathedral of dark. These few galaxies are themselves separated by much greater distances than those in normal clusters. Each one is a kingdom entirely isolated, its closest neighbor a legend. If the Milky Way were placed at its center, we wouldn't see another galaxy in any direction for hundreds of millions of years of travel. That's how empty it is. The inhabitants of a galaxy in the Buddha's void would have developed their entire civilization without knowing that other galaxies even existed. They would have believed their island of stars was the entire cosmos. Their universe would be a profound illusion of singularity. Scientists sometimes call it the Great Nothing, a silent, hollow sphere in the map of existence. But it is not a flaw. It is a feature. It is a demonstration that loneliness is a necessary, structuring force. And yet, I can't help but find it beautiful. Like the pause in a song that makes the next note even more powerful. The void itself defines the density of the surrounding cosmic web, proving that proximity requires a surrounding field of separation. The silent space allows the sound to be beautiful. The future, loneliness. Here's a thought that can make the stars themselves feel close. We're living in one of the rarest, briefest eras of cosmic history, the time when the night sky still shines. This is a fleeting moment of cosmic togetherness, a temporary reprieve from the dark. Because as the universe expands, galaxies move farther apart, pulled by the relentless expansion of space-time itself. The bonds of gravity, strong as they are overcome by the tide of the void. Distance is winning the war against connection. Eventually, their light will stretch beyond visibility. The light waves, moving across vast distances of expanding space, will redshift until they become too faint and low energy to register. They will slip away, silently, falling off the edge of our perception. Future observers, if any still exist, will look up and see only darkness. They will be trapped inside a luminous sphere of their own galaxy, surrounded by the infinite night. Their solitude will be absolute, bounded by physics. They'll never know the universe was once full of stars. They will live in a universe defined by the quiet certainty of their isolation, a quiet that is the ultimate form of amnesia. They'll think their single galaxy is all that ever was. The horizon of their knowledge will have shrunk to their own galactic neighborhood, making their loneliness completely invisible to them. The ultimate cosmic loneliness, not knowing that you're alone. The pain of the unknown is replaced by the serene acceptance of singularity, the quiet conviction that the tiny island is the whole world. The quiet machines. Even our creations drift toward solitude. These are the artifacts of our own tiny, short-lived civilization, now committed to an eternal exile. There's Voyager 1, still traveling beyond our solar system, carrying sounds of Earth, music, greetings, laughter, waves. It is a solitary monument to the human desire for connection, a time capsule sailing into a future it cannot report back to. No one has answered. No one may ever. The silence surrounding it is absolute, broken only by the hum of cosmic rays and the slow, rhythmic decay of its own internal systems. The silence is the only response it receives. But it keeps going. Radio silent now, humming softly in the dark. Its journey is a purely philosophical one now, a statement that even if unheard, the message was worth sending. The journey itself is the meaning. There's Pioneer 10, New Horizons, and other probes, each a tiny message in a bottle, slipping away into eternity. They are the loneliest relics of humanity, carrying the genetic and cultural memory of a world that is now receding into a tiny speck of light. Someday, even they will fall silent. The last trickle of electrical current will fail. The last computer chip will freeze, and they will become perfectly inert pieces of metal, drifting forever in the cold. A final, absolute quiet will claim them. But maybe that's all right. Maybe the act of sending something into the void is its own form of connection. It is the reaching out, not the receiving, that defines the human spirit. The impulse to speak into the silence is the ultimate defiance of it, a whisper that says, "We were here, and we cared to be heard." We projected our image into the solitude, an attempt to break the cosmic quiet with a single, precious sound, the loneliness that connects us. When you think about it, everything that exists, every atom, every photon, every heartbeat, has spent most of its life alone. The distances are too vast, the time too long. Again, separation is the rule, not the exception. The universe defaults to solitude. And yet, out of that distance, life appears. We are the improbable accumulation of lonely parts, held together by chemical bonds that are themselves a form of fleeting, local connection. You, me, everyone listening, all built from ancient, solitary atoms that once drifted through the void. They only gathered together for a brief moment, the moment of your life, before they will be scattered back into the dark. We are a temporary coalition against the void. Maybe loneliness isn't a flaw of the universe. Maybe it's what makes connection meaningful. Because proximity is so rare, so fleeting, that when it happens, it is everything. We are defined by the preciousness of the short moments when the distances collapse. We reach across the dark with telescopes, with messages, with thoughts, with love. And sometimes something answers. A signal, a word, a shared silence, the quiet acknowledgement that we are both here, now, in this moment of fragile closeness. Maybe that's enough. It is the universe's quiet reminder that rarity equals value. and the shared moment is the most valuable thing of all. The isolation of the first life. Let's travel back to the first moment life appeared on our planet. This is the origin point of all loneliness. Imagine a single tiny molecule, a perfect helix of possibility that somehow began to copy itself in the ancient ocean. It was a chemical accident that became a cosmological imperative, the drive to self-replicate. For untold eons, this single life form, or its direct, tiny descendants, was the only conscious self-replicating thing for billions of miles. The nearest similar entity was itself. The loneliness was existential. It was surrounded by silent, uncaring rock, violent lightning storms, and a vast, empty sea. The environment was not hostile. It was indifferent, which is often a deeper form of isolation, a total lack of witness. This first life was the definition of isolation. It was the only memory in a world of endless repetition. It had no context, no companion, and no voice to share its tiny, epic-defining victory. The world was deaf and mute to its presence. The birth of life was, ironically, the birth of true loneliness. The first moment in cosmic history where something realized it was separate from everything else. The awareness of self is the awareness of separation, a sudden, quiet understanding of the boundary. And yet, that loneliness was also the catalyst for connection. To survive, that single cell had to learn to replicate, to join, to evolve into colonies, and eventually into us. All connection is built on the foundation of that original vast solitude. It is a monument to the necessity of finding company. The quiet of the earth's beginning was the quiet of a single heart beating in an empty world, whispering a simple formula: survive. The first sound of life was the quiet hum of a single cell maintaining its integrity against the void. The stars of solitude. We talked about rogue planets, but consider the individual stars that wander in the stellar halo of our own galaxy. The Milky Way is surrounded by an enormous, diffuse sphere of stars, gas, and dark matter called the stellar halo. Most of the stars in this halo are ancient, poor in metal, and travel in huge elliptical orbits far above and below the galactic plane. They are the pioneers who left the crowded core long ago, the silent majority of the galaxy. These stars are truly detached, while our sun is surrounded by immediate neighbors, closer than a single light year. A halo star might spend billions of years without another star, closer than 10 or 20 light years. Their stellar neighborhood is a permanent, quiet, featureless night. The only illumination is their own lonely light. When they look into the sky, the galactic plane itself, our vibrant Milky Way, is a distant, beautiful ribbon of light. It's not home. It's a spectacle, a foreign city viewed from a desolate mountaintop. They are observers, not participants, in the galactic drama, forever watching the action from the balcony. They are the oldest inhabitants of the galaxy, the silent, slow-moving observers who have watched the rest of us rush around the central core for 13 billion years. Their loneliness is not one of suffering, but of ancient wisdom and deep perspective. They know the vastness of time and the meaninglessness of speed. They simply burn, enduring far outside the main flow of life. Their solitude is the perfect, unhurried rhythm of deep time, a quiet constancy that defies the chaos of the core. Time dilation and separate realities. The universe's deepest loneliness is not just spatial, but temporal. Time itself becomes a mechanism of isolation. Imagine two observers, twins, separated by extreme gravitational fields or speed. They share a single origin, but are destined for separate realities, separated by the mathematics of spacetime. One twin remains on Earth, experiencing time at our familiar rate. The other twin travels near a massive black hole, where time slows drastically, or rockets away at near the speed of light. Their experiences of the universe are fundamentally incompatible, their perception of now entirely different. When the traveling twin returns, they might have aged only a few years, while their earthbound counterpart has aged decades or centuries. They are separated by time dilation. The traveler is a relic from the past, living in a future that is not their own. They carry a unique, solitary history that no one can truly share. The traveler returns to a world that no longer contains their immediate past, where their memories are ancient history to everyone else. They are truly alone in their moment, carrying the unique burden of having lived at a different tempo than the rest of the universe. The silence they experience is the silence of an unbridgeable time gap. This kind of separation is the purest expression of cosmic distance, a loneliness where the moment you left can never be shared again. It is the ultimate exile from a shared present. They look at the stars and remember a time that, for everyone else, is long gone. Their isolation is absolute, defined by the laws of physics itself, proving that proximity in space does not guarantee proximity in time. The silence of singularities. At the very heart of loneliness lies the black hole singularity. It is the ultimate expression of cosmic self-containment. A black hole is not merely a dense object. It is a rupture in space-time, a point where all matter, all information, and all sense of direction cease to exist. All of the universe's past, present, and future are meaningless here. The singularity is a hole in reality. The singularity itself is the ultimate separation. Nothing that enters can ever return. Not light, not sound, not even the memory of its existence can escape. It is an information graveyard, a place where the history of matter is erased, becoming a single, dimensionless point of infinite density. It is the quietest place imaginable because it actively consumes all information. If you fell in, the loneliness would be total. The light from the external universe would blue shift into oblivion. Time would appear to cease, and the familiar laws that defined your entire life would tear your very atoms apart. The silence of the void would be a mercy compared to the absolute isolation of the singularity. But here is the profound poetry. The only thing that defines the black hole is its relationship to the void. Its existence is proof of the overwhelming power of separation. It is the loneliest object because it has exiled itself from the rest of the universe, standing as a monument to what happens when density and distance become infinite. And the only sound it emits is the fleeting, quiet, high-frequency Hawking radiation, a whisper of heat that takes trillions of years to dissipate, marking the slow, inevitable evaporation of absolute isolation. It is a lonely, long sigh of a final, solitary death, the quiet echo of all the matter it has ever consumed. The void, between thoughts. Let's bring this isolation back inside the mind, where we can truly feel it. We spoke earlier about the cosmic void of Bhutas. Now imagine the analogous void within your own consciousness, the silent space between your thoughts. This is the internal map of the cosmic structure. When you meditate deeply, or when you are fully absorbed in a moment of quiet awe, the ceaseless internal monologue, the mental chatter of plans, worries, and memories, recedes. The dense, noisy, galactic cluster of the mind thins out, and what is left? A space of quiet, a mental void. This internal silence is often terrifying because it reveals the essential solitude of consciousness. It's the realization that while we are connected by love and language, the core of our experience, the I am, is fundamentally alone, living its unique moment within the boundaries of the self. This is the self-singularity. But like the great cosmic voids, this internal silence is the source of structure. It is the space that allows insight, creativity, and calm to form. Without the vast, silent field of consciousness, our thoughts would be a meaningless, continuous roar. The internal void gives definition to the thought, allowing one idea to stand alone and be examined. The loneliness of the mind is the condition for self-awareness. It is the quiet room where we finally hear our own voice, the singular frequency of our truest self. It is the realization that the deepest loneliness is the one we carry within, and that learning to inhabit it is the first step toward peace. The quiet border, the heliopause. Our own solar system has a definite quiet edge, a border defined by silence. This border is the heliopause. It is the final boundary where the solar wind, the continuous stream of particles and magnetic energy flowing from our sun, is stopped and turned back by the pressure of the interstellar medium. The space inside the heliopause is our home. The space outside is the great, lonely, intergalactic void. It is the last whisper of our sun's sovereignty. The heliopause itself is not a wall, but a vast, turbulent, silent shockwave. It is the end of our sun's domain. When our Voyager probes crossed this boundary, they reported a profound change in the acoustic environment, a shift from the dense, solar-controlled environment to the cold, random noise of deep space particles. A transition from one quiet to a deeper, colder quiet. The quiet of the heliopause is the silence of an international frontier. It is the last place our sun can whisper its protection, and the first place the interstellar void begins to assert its dominance. It is the silent, cold line where us ends and everything else begins. Beyond the heliopause, our spacecraft are no longer swimming in our sun's ocean. They are floating in the vast, cold sea of the galaxy, utterly alone, surrounded by the silence of deep space. They are the loneliest sentinels, marking the precise, quiet end of home. The loneliness of the fundamental particle. Let's consider the deepest layer of cosmic loneliness, that of the fundamental particle. Imagine an electron. It is not a tiny marble. It is, as far as we can tell, a point-like entity with no discernible internal structure. It is pure property, charge, mass, and spin. It is, in its essence, perfectly simple and perfectly solitary. There is no in to an electron. It is all boundaries. In quantum mechanics, particles often exist in a state of superposition, simultaneously existing in many places or states at once until measured. They are lonely because they are undefined. They exist in an ambiguous, uncommitted state of potential, completely detached from local reality until an observer forces them into a specific, single location. They are everywhere and nowhere at once. This quantum loneliness is the foundation of all reality. The proton in your nose and the proton in a distant galaxy are fundamentally identical. They do not share a personal history. They only share a perfectly identical nature. Their solitude is in their indistinguishable identity. The universe is built on these tiny, lonely points of perfect identity. Their constant movement, their noise of uncertainty, is what creates all the beautiful, complex structures, the stars, the planets, the life, that briefly overcome their fundamental isolation. The complex noise of life is built on the silent, profound ambiguity of the very small. The exiles of the Andromeda collision. In about 4 billion years, our galaxy, the Milky Way, will collide with our nearest major neighbor, the Andromeda galaxy. This will not be a crash, but a slow, spectacular merger where the two spiral arms will begin to pass through each other. The stars themselves are too far apart for most to collide. However, during this gravitational dance, some stars will be given a massive gravitational kick. They will be ejected from the new, combined galaxy, which we call Milkometa, and flung out into the intergalactic void. These stars will be exiles, launched by the chaos of their home's creation. They will carry the heat and light of two merged galaxies, but will be forced to wander the void, far from the new light. Their loneliness is born of a beautiful, violent wedding, the consequence of a cosmic embrace. The quiet journey of these ejected stars will last for tens of billions of years. They are living, burning metaphors for the fact that every moment of cosmic connection produces a corresponding moment of ultimate separation. The stars that leave are the price paid for the stars that stay, a sacrifice to the formation of the new combined core. The silence of alien history. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence, or SETI, is a search for an answer to our own existential loneliness. We are listening, but the quiet persists. Consider the silence not as an absence of sound, but as the possibility of failed civilizations. The ultimate historical loneliness. The universe is over 13 billion years old. Our own human existence is a fleeting blink of an eye in that time. For every civilization that may have existed, there are billions of years of silence that followed. Their moment of light is already gone. We might be listening to the silence of extinction. We might be intercepting the radio silence left behind by a species that flourished for 1 million years, only to disappear, leaving a sudden, quiet gap in the cosmic airwaves. Their technological noise has simply ceased. The most profound loneliness is the silence left by a voice that once spoke. The quiet is a vast library of lost novels, a gallery of destroyed art. The deep quiet is not the proof that we are alone now. It is the evidence that, even with company, the final state of the universe is still silence. We are listening to the cumulative quiet of billions of years of potential history that never survived to reach us, the boundary of the observable. Our loneliness is defined by our vision. The observable universe is the boundary of our knowledge. It is a giant sphere, roughly 93 billion light-years across, centered on Earth. Everything within that sphere is light that has had time to reach us since the Big Bang. Everything outside that boundary is hidden from us, not by distance, but by the relentless expansion of the universe. The space between us and the light of those distant galaxies is expanding faster than the light itself can travel. Those galaxies exist. They are burning, rotating, and living out their cosmic dramas right now. But their light is forever trapped behind a cosmic horizon. We can never see them, and they can never see us. This is the loneliness of the cosmic event horizon. We are separated from the rest of the universe, not by our own limitations, but by the very structure of space-time. We are forever in exile from the whole picture. We are forced to accept that the universe we experience is, by definition, a small, isolated island of awareness in an ocean of truth that will remain eternally silent and unseen. We can never truly know the complete universe. We can only know our lonely, limited view of it, the quiet of the cosmic ice. If you travel to the far edges of our solar system, beyond the orbit of Neptune, you encounter the Kuiper Belt and the distant spherical Oort cloud. These regions are essentially deep, dark freezers, home to billions of comets, asteroids, and small, icy bodies, the primordial leftovers of the solar system's formation. They are worlds of pure, cold isolation, the forgotten rubble of creation. The silence here is total. These icy bodies drift in orbits so wide that one circuit around the Sun can take hundreds of thousands of years. They are too far from the Sun to feel its direct heat, too far from the main planets to feel any significant gravitational companionship. The quiet of the Oort cloud is the silence of cosmic preservation. The matter here is locked in a primordial state, untouched by the noise and heat of the inner solar system. They are frozen memory, waiting for a gravitational nudge to send them on a lonely, spectacular journey toward the Sun before returning to the quiet dark. The loneliest things are often those that have been waiting the longest, quietly preserving their form in the cold, unmoving silence of the cosmic deep. Their solitude is the price of their eternal existence. The loneliness of the great attractor. The universe is not static. It is constantly being pulled by immense, unseen forces. One of these forces is the great attractor, a massive, diffuse gravitational anomaly located in the direction of the Centaurus supercluster. It is drawing our entire local group of galaxies toward it at millions of miles per hour. We can see the effect of the attractor, the streaming motion of our own galaxy, but the attractor itself is largely obscured from our view by the dust and stars of the Milky Way. It is a lonely, massive, silent presence that dominates our galactic destiny without ever revealing its true nature. Our isolation is defined by the fact that our entire existence is dedicated to a quiet, gravitational pilgrimage towards something we cannot fully see or understand. The loneliness of the great attractor is the ultimate cosmic mystery, an unseen, silent shepherd guiding a flock of billions of stars toward an unknown, singular destination. We are marching toward a quiet gravitational destiny, and we are unable to look back, unable to fully see the power that controls our fate. The failure of the planetesimal. Let's think small again, at the birth of a solar system. A planetary system begins with a vast cloud of dust and gas, which coalesces into small, icy, and rocky bodies called planetesimals. These are the building blocks of planets. The life of a planetesimal is one of quiet, perpetual danger. Most fail. Most never make the transition to full planetary status. They are instead scattered, shattered, or consumed. The loneliness of the failed planetesimal is the vast silent population of icy rocky bodies that drift in the space between the main planets. They are the asteroids and the comets, the millions of tiny worlds that were almost something. They are the children of a vast, failed construction project, forever wandering the cosmic junkyard. Their existence is a permanent reminder that formation is a violent, wasteful, and solitary process. The vast majority of matter destined to be part of a planet is simply rejected, cast off into the silence. The planets we know, the Earth, Mars, Jupiter, are the lucky few, the survivors of a cosmic lottery defined by random, violent collisions. The silence of the asteroid belt is the quiet of the majority report, the millions of small, solitary failures that confirm the rarity of success. The unseen architecture, dark matter. The universe is ruled by a silent, invisible majority. Only about 5% of the cosmos is made of the matter we can see and touch: the stars, the gas, the planets, you, and me. The rest is nearly entirely composed of dark matter and dark energy. Dark matter is the ultimate expression of cosmic loneliness. It exists in vast, cold, silent halos that envelop every single galaxy. You are swimming in it right now, a ghostly, invisible sea that passes right through you without interaction. It emits no light, it absorbs no light, and it does not interact with normal matter except through the whisper of gravity. It is the perfect, solitary material. It has no chemical voice, no thermal signature, and no magnetic echo. Its existence is inferred entirely by its quiet, pervasive presence, holding the noisy, spinning galaxies together. The Milky Way would fly apart without its dark matter halo, but the halo itself remains an eternal, silent companion we can never truly greet. The ultimate loneliness is being omnipresent, essential, and yet perpetually invisible and unknown. It is the silent architecture of the universe, the quiet foundation upon which all the light is built. The silence of dark energy. If dark matter is the silent gravitational scaffolding, dark energy is the silent, accelerating engine of separation. Dark energy is not a particle, nor a force in the traditional sense. It is a property of the vacuum itself, a constant, pervasive pressure that pushes space apart. It is the agent of cosmic solitude. Its existence is the reason why galaxies are moving away from us at an accelerating rate, guaranteeing the future loneliness we discussed earlier. It is the quiet, mathematical certainty that distance will always win. The silence of dark energy is the quiet of pure indifference. It does not interact. It does not fluctuate. It simply exists, defining the boundary conditions of our future. It is a quiet, permanent background hum in the universe that spells ultimate, unavoidable separation. Dark energy is the most mysterious and pervasive, loneliest thing of all. An unseen, unfeeling entity that ensures every beautiful moment of connection is temporary, accelerating the universe towards a final, absolute quiet, the failure of the first planets. Our solar system has planets that survived, but most star systems fail to form the familiar, stable arrangements we take for granted. Consider the hot Jupiters found in other star systems, massive gas giant planets orbiting extremely close to their stars. These planets did not form there. They formed in the outer, colder regions, but then migrated inward through the orbits where smaller, Earth-like planets might have formed. Their presence is the silent graveyard of a system. They are the massive, gravitational bullies that destroyed or ejected any potential inner planets during their inward journey. The absence of an Earth-like world in such a system is the loneliness of a null result, the vast, empty space where a world of oceans and life should have been. The hot Jupiter is a monument to the violence of formation and the failure of stable, quiet coexistence. The lack of a second voice in that system is the quiet testimony to a planetary system that destroyed its own potential for companionship. The isolation of the absolute zero. The ultimate end of the universe, the heat death or big freeze, is the final, absolute form of loneliness predicted by thermodynamics. It is not a chaotic, dramatic end, but a quiet, slow diffusion. All energy will eventually be converted into heat and spread evenly throughout the universe. all differences in temperature, the engine of life, movement, and light will vanish. The universe will reach a state of maximum entropy, a perfect, uniform, cold soup of particles. There will be no work possible. No stars can burn. No thought can flicker. No atoms can collide to create anything new. Only quiet, uniform, minimal motion. This final state is the loneliness of equilibrium. Every particle will be perfectly separated from every other, at a temperature barely above absolute zero, drifting eternally in an undifferentiated silent sea. It is the moment when the universe finally achieves the ultimate solitude, a quiet that can never be broken because there is no energy left to make a sound. The cosmological principle's silence. Cosmology is founded on the cosmological principle, the idea that the universe, when viewed on a large enough scale, is both homogeneous, the same everywhere, and isotropic, looks the same in every direction. This is a statement of philosophical loneliness. It means that our Earth, our Sun, and our galaxy hold no special or privileged place. We are average. Our corner of the universe is fundamentally indistinguishable from any other corner billions of light years away. The silence of the average is profound. It means our existence is a statistical necessity, not a unique central drama. Our joys, our connections, and our very consciousness are not the climax of creation, but a common phenomenon that could, and statistically must, happen everywhere. This homogenization strips away the personal feeling of importance, forcing us to confront the fact that our solitude is shared, not by a companion, but by an infinite array of identical, lonely situations. The universe is too vast and too uniform for any single event to be truly unique. So here we are, at the edge of everything. We've floated past planets that endure without light, stars that fade into the long dark, galaxies with whispers instead of crowds, voids so vast they swallow the idea of neighbors. We have seen solitude in the smallest particles and in the broadest fabrics of space-time. We've imagined the loneliness of memory and the way observation knits possibility into fact. And yet you're still here, listening, present. That is the odd, beautiful counterpoint. In a universe built on separation, our act of attention is radical. To listen is to make a place less empty. To name is to pull the world into being. Perhaps the quiet miracle is this: loneliness is not an error to be fixed, but the condition that allows connection to be precious. Distance makes proximity meaningful. The briefness of our encounters is what makes them intense. In every borrowed warmth, in every beam of light that reaches us after 1 billion years, there is testimony. Something happened, and we noticed. Thank you for being here tonight, for the small attention that binds stories together. If this piece gave you a gentle moment of wonder or calm, tell me in the comments what part felt loneliest or most alive to you. Good night, traveler. Drift easy. We will meet again, somewhere in the quiet between lonely galaxies.